Welcome to this live stream where I'm going to be sharing with you mean comments from a recent post on my Instagram page at gmarkphillips. This post is dated, it's from March 13th, and it was a comment slash joke slash question that I was asking about the people that appear to be coming over, that our government appears to be allowing come over into our country, not knowing who they are. I don't see, border patrol people there with a table and a line. They seem to be skedaddling across, you know. And as an American, I'm be that as it may, my problem with it is this. I've got to jump through a lot of hoops here in America to be a part of the system and to be on the government's radar and for them to know who I am, where I am, what I'm buying, what I'm doing. I've got to do a lot of things to be an American citizen that allows me not to get in trouble with the law. It doesn't appear those people are doing those things. And so I hate to be a little hall monitor, but I'm going to say, hey, will you at least please treat them like you're treating me? But bare minimum, treat them like you treat me, and you treat me like you don't care what I think. You send my tax dollars overseas to do things, heinous crimes against humanity that I don't approve of. You spend them in frivolous ways. You're not prudent. You're not responsible with the money that we give you. You appear to be going in middle class and coming out multimillionaires. You appear to have mansions by the sea and very high salaries doing public service. And our country, if our country was doing great, I wouldn't question you, but our country's not doing great. We're 33 trillion in debt. We've got multiple war type situations going on. We're sending money to places that we don't even know what's going on over there. Like we have no idea. The Pentagon loses 3 point some odd billion every year, has done that for the last, what has it been? Maybe 7 years, maybe longer. Um, what else? The list goes on and on. The other day, I caught a Fox News piece talking about the frivolous things government spends their money on. Now, I know I'm assuming Fox News is just trying to agitate us, right? Like these news organizations want to rile us up and get us all anxious. And it did work on me. And I'm sure this is true because I've heard these stories before. Silly things like funding ridiculous studies of, like, test checking whether birds can do such and such in the wild, which is something they would never do, or just ridiculous sounding things like that have no bearing in society, that appear to be frivolous waste of money. That was my point, is my government is, screwing me over, I know, to a degree, right? Why at least screw these people over in the same fashion, make it fair, right? Make it even Steven. That was my intention behind this comment and this joke, is, when they let all these people in, what happens when they wake up to the fact that our government doesn't care about them? They let them into, quote unquote, replace us, and I mean replace us at the polls, potentially replace us in, we was it Dick Durbin talked about, putting allowing them or giving them opportunities to go into the armed services. That's freaking wild, because no one in our country, no one with their head screwed on straight and who have read their history, know to get involved with them, because the government are liars and deceivers and cheaters. And how many times do you know someone who went into the military saying, hey, yeah, that my recruiter told me I could do these things, but I got in and they said, oh, wah, we're sorry, that's not going to happen. They're not good deal makers. And we're seeing this express itself on a global stage where the US is shaking their little finger at everyone else. Putin, you're a bad, amoral, unprincipled, uncode of ethics person for doing what you do. Oh, yeah, we're going to do what you do times 10. That's where we're at. The whole world is looking at the hypocrisy of America, saying we stand for freedom and we stand for democracy and we stand for the little guy and gal, and we are allowing to what's happened over in Gaza, what's happening over in Gaza, because we don't stand for those things. See, it started in 2020, it's coming into the present. All of the darkness is being illuminated. All of the lies and deceptions are being brought to the surface for everyone to see. Now, some people aren't choosing to see those, which is fine. They will, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not sure, but they're being brought to the surface to see. Then it becomes a question of, okay, am I going to do the work and walk into this uncomfortable situation and allow the matrix to collapse and all the lies to be allow myself to experience and feel the lies and the deception and see it and stand in the presence of it, right? It's uncomfortable when you realize the most powerful people in your country, they're secretly out to get you in a subversive, covert way. And I know that can sound like a crazy person, but when you see what they're doing at a micro level, right, beneath the surface, and for me, what the opportunity that I had in 2022 or three, probably more 2023, a little bit of 2022 was having to do with 15-minute cities. I got a front row seat and a deep dive into what cities are doing around the globe, mainly here in the United States, but it's related to 15-minute cities. It's related to stripping value. Well, let me correctly say that. It's related to pulling money from lower and middle class or from the bulk of humanity and putting it into government's pockets. It's related to growing government. Remember, in over the last over the last 5, 6 years, if it's tight for you financially, it's tight for government as well. They're in the same financial situation as we are. However, you know what I mean by that is cost of goods, cost of services, price to live, and they also have to grow. See, government's always going to grow. This is, I think, why the cycle is, and you see this in nature. Things grow and grow and grow until they reach a point, and then they decay and decline. Government's going to grow and grow and grow until it reaches a point where people go, you know what, you can't take anymore because I don't have any more to give you. I don't care if you want to grow. We're done. We're done playing this game. What the United States has been doing, however, is printing money out of thin air to fund the bullshit because they got a lot of bullshit going. Again, growing, 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 doing frivolous things, doing frivolous things, doing frivolous things because government. One of the ideas that I full-heartedly believe is what Julian Assange talks about, that these wars and these projects are about strip mining wealth from the middle class and putting it in the hands of the 1%. It's a rich man's trick. It's money laundering. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talks about this. They're laundering money. They're saying, hey, we've got a war over here, so we're going to send your money over there to our colleagues in the defense industry. Remember, what's his name? Mitch McConnell said, it's not a loan and it's not leaving the United States. It's going back into the defense industry. Well, that's the military industrial complex. That's the 1%. Those are the people that go to the government and say, hey, you know, we could use a little money over here. Can you make something happen around the world? Then they use their covert action agencies to go in there and undermine governments or set the stage, stack the pieces, arrange the board so that in X number of years or sometime down the road, that bomb will go off and they'll hit pay dirt. It's basically planting a seed. This is what happened in Ukraine in 2014, and which is why Vladimir Putin then I think he took Crimea at the time. The United States State Department and Victoria Nuland were meddling and interfering probably to a high degree. I don't know how much they were, but when you have the Maidan coup and they're involved in that, we know how these agencies can sway, and they really are crafty at setting the stage for future events. And what I mean by that is by putting in a person into the leadership role in that country that is going to do what the International Monetary Fund wants them to do. It's not even about America. America, I believe, is just the, go set this up. We go in there and take care of the business, set it up, and then we're the muscle. We're the muscle. You've got the Vatican, you've got City of London. Vatican is the religious, runs the religious aspect of the world. City of London runs the financial aspect of the world, and then of course America is the military aspect of the world. Those three, that's how they exert the dominance all around the globe. right? I got off on a big tangent there, a very big tangent, but I think it's good to remind ourselves what's really going on and how it's going. And I can't remember why we got off on that tangent, but I want to share this video with you. Um, I think it was just about government in general and how you got to watch them very closely so that you don't get into trouble with them. I think that was the main idea. Um, Let me go here and see if we have any. Okay, so let's get into these comments here. Again, I'm on March 13th on my Instagram at gmarkphillips, and some of them aren't bad. This person says, "Good question." An oddball comment. Is that a real head? I get that a lot. I get that a lot. Um, I also get Megamind a lot, and I probably will post a side by side with Megamind. I never saw that cartoon, but you know what? I'm not gonna lie, there is some similarity there. Um, I joke around about it and the fact that it's my head is big because my brain is big. Okay, this person says, so I was asking, what happens when the people that are coming across our border realize that they're being played pawns in a game and used and abused. Um, just like the government is printing money out of thin air, they're burning relationships out of thin air too. They clearly don't care about us. We have problems in our cities, we have problems in our country, but they're sending billions overseas. That's crazy. We have major problems. Money goes to Israel. They have free healthcare over there, to my knowledge. We don't have that here. Why don't we stop sending that money to them? Well, the reason we don't is because where the government sends money shows you where their priorities are, right? When they bail out Wall Street, that's their priority. They don't go to Wall Street and say, "Sorry, Wall Street, sorry you busted your banks. We're not bailing you out because our priorities are to the American people." No, they don't say that because that's not their priority. If you see your government sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and in Israel, and you have problems in your state or your country that you want to be addressed, they're saying they're more important than us. And we know why Israel is, because their strategic location in the area. And the people who financed Israel, the founders, their name starts with R and ends with a D. And you could go and look up that if you don't already know it. You might already know it. Um, they're into some really, really weird stuff in the world. And I've never seen or heard of one good project that family has done for humanity, but I've seen a lot of weird art. I've seen a lot of weird causes that they've been involved in. They hang out with some sketchy people. Um, and I don't have a problem saying that about a person on planet Earth that is into some really weird stuff that makes my skin crawl. I don't have a problem saying that. I would never say that about most people, right? But if you're into the stuff they're into, I feel it's justified because that's how I feel about it. That's legitimately how I feel about it. What else? So if you look at all those things, they're saying we value those people more. Okay, again, tangent. Um, this person says they'll go home with all the money our government gave them and be kings where they came from. Possibly, possibly. This person says chaos will happen when they find out and wake up. Um, now here's a normal kind of comment. Be better, work harder, don't wait for the government. I'm confident in my abilities and work ethic that I won't be replaced. See, and so that person, and I always take it back to myself, like, how could I have said it better to convey what's on my mind in a more focused, clear way? This person seems to be kind of focusing on the fact that um, they'll be replaced, which the bigger problem, or that way they won't be replaced because they're going to work harder and buckle down. But the bigger problem, of course, that I see is that our government will, in a sense, bribe people and say, "Hey, if you vote this way," see, we're already losing our voice. We're losing it on a local level. We're losing it on a national level. They don't appear to be listening to us. I see it again in my city. Um, they're putting on a good show, and I'm not the only one who sees this. Liberals are waking up too. I'm a conservative person who's always been skeptical of government, and I've always been like, you guys are sketching me out. Now they're really sketching me out. They're completely off the rails. Bill Maher even says it. He says, "Hey, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me. I mean, when you have a party that is backing men competing with women in sports that they could get hurt, and they have, sports is already a dangerous endeavor in many cases. But when you have a government and a group, which is appears to be the left, putting and telling kids, hey, you can make changes to yourself when you're a young kid that you and that will be with you forever and that are permanent. It is freaking wild. You cannot make this shit up. So all of it is so weird. That's what that so it won't be just like we'll be replaced. It could be like our country could implode. You see what's happening in California, San Francisco, in the malls and in the grocery stores and on the streets, the homeless problem, the theft, the crime, the all of it. And you see what's happening in Portland, and also Seattle. It's driving people from blue states to red states. New York appears to be a complete mess. Chicago appears to be quite messy. Um, I don't know. I don't know. That's what I worry about most, is that a group of people will be voted in that are dumb. Like, I still don't understand how Mayor Eric Adams is able to have his position after admitting that he may have destroyed New York. That's wild to me. I can't wrap my mind around it. But it literally happened, and people literally listened to it. A few months prior to making that statement, he said, send us all your people, we'll be that sanctuary city. We got capacity, we got room. A few months later, and this also ties into how I think they're agitating us, and really they're messing with us. But even if you are messing with us, you shouldn't be allowed to have your job after that, after you admit to doing something that destroys the economy of a city, because I feel that's financial warfare. Those are people's lives and the homes that they live in. People have invested in that city, and that appears to be, from the way I look at it, it looks like a grift. It looks like a scam. It looks like exploitation. What is this term for a person who destroys the environment that a people live in? There's got to be a legal term for that. I mean, from a natural standpoint, that person would not be allowed to stay in the tribe any longer if he said, oh, you know what, because I invited all of these other tribes to come and be on our land, they're going to deplete the resources and tax the city infrastructure. You're going to lose, everyone in this tribe is going to lose resources and going to lose amenities because we've got to give them to those tribes. That dude would be ostracized from that tribe, and maybe worse. That's what would happen to that person. But because human beings, we've constructed this government, that person is able to operate with immunity. I don't understand it myself. It's crazy to me. People are leaving New York because they can see the end and writings on the wall. And like I said, these city officials are admitting to as much. It's wild to me. So that's my biggest concern. Um, this person said, hard to say, as one home country made it clear they don't want them back. It's not what, it's when. WW3 began years ago, slow roll of dominoes that have picked up speed. And I like that comment because I do believe it began years ago as well. And so, but I don't often think about it in that way, but I need to start because I think it's definitely sketchy out there. This person said, worry is interest you pay on tomorrow's trouble, which is true. And I replied, I said, agreed. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, because there is such a thing as worrying and not taking action. And I mean, just worrying and ruminating on something, that's a factor. But worrying and talking about something and sharing information and knowledge to help educate other people, I think that's a different type of a thing. So I don't really look at it as worrying. I look at it as, hey, as maybe telling my fellow Americans and human beings on the globe, hey, I think we have a problem. I'm entering the forum, in this case digitally, and I'm saying to them, I think we have a problem. Let me show you what I'm seeing. Do you see something as well? Right? And many do see that. Some do not, but many do. And so that is encouraging me. Some still don't see it. And in that case, I want to I really look at myself and say, okay, are you really seeing this correctly? Um, Here's one of the meanest comments. Worry about your wife replacing you. Leave the poor immigrants alone. Um, this is an interesting one, and I see this quite a bit. Um, yeah, I'm not picking on them. In the real sense of the word, I'm concerned that they're being used as in pawns in the same game that I'm in, but maybe in a more heinous way, right? Maybe in a more exploitative way. That's what I see them at. So I'm not picking on them. I'm my focus was on our government. Like it's not they're like us. All human beings are we're kind of in the same boat. And this is why when something happens to a human being over in Gaza, it bothers me. When something happens to a child over in Gaza, it bothers me. And when I know that those people that are doing those things to those children and killing them in that way are doing other things in the world too, subverting culture, subverting society here in the West through the media, through the entertainment industry, through you want to talk about toxic music. Yeah, toxic media, entertainment. I'm talking movies, shows, even concert appearances, and then toxic television shows and toxic music designed to undermine the family structure, designed to undermine men, make men appear to be toxic. What what better tactic of an evil person who wants to dominate you than to come to your group of people and say, and typically target the men because the men historically have been the ones to hold the line when invading forces want to come in, right? The men are the rock in a civilization, the foundation, and they protect the women and children. What better tactic for an evil group of people who want total world domination than to come into a culture and a society and start subverting masculinity and also inverting femininity as well, flipping the scripts? Because if you can get women to play the masculine role and men to play a feminine role, you've done a double whammy on that group. And then you come in and you take everything they have. They cannot defend themselves because men don't know who and what they are, and women don't know who and what they are. They're not in their power. The sexes aren't in their power. And that's where we're at right now. Fortunately, many people are waking up. I'm one of them that have been like, oh shit. Like you have allowed yourself because of cultural programming, Mark, to be inverted. Not every man in my generation even has, but some have. And what I mean by that, and there's also levels. Everything's a continuum. Maybe I'm not wearing a dress and walking around, but in my mind, what it manifests for me is, and this came largely, I believe, from the public education system or just society in general. What it manifests for me and what I talk about in some of my books and products and upcoming life guide is this sense of, oh, I've got to ask permission for to do something, or I've got to um, am I really not, the word not qualified is the right thing, but do I have the ability, or should I do what's in my heart, my sole purpose, my mission in life, which is what we all need to be doing, and shining our brightest and sharing our gifts and talents with the world that God gave us that will benefit the world in a positive way, that will help heal the world, whether you're a chef or a builder or a doctor or a lawyer, um, or a facilitator or a negotiator. See, when you put that skill to work now in the world for the greater good, away from the beast system, that's when the world becomes a better place. Again, how it looks is you're an awake and aware and a conscious doctor. You pull out of the beast system and say, your system is sick, you're making people sick. I'm going to work holistically with the person away from the constraints from the government and big pharma and insurance agencies, insurance companies. Many people are doing it. it's happening in the mental health space. Counselors who used to be in the space are waking up to the fact that, oh, I can't heal this person in the way that I know they need to be healed because I have shackles on me from the federal government. And they're extricating themselves and healing people in a natural, holistic, energetic, spiritually, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, with a wide range of modalities. Because remember, anything that comes from the government, it's not going to heal you. It's never meant to heal you. The food that is some of the food that is approved by the Food and Drug Administration um, is is not does not give us nutrients in the best possible way. It is much of it is inverted from what we should be eating. High sugar content, high seed oil content that's very inflammatory in the body, high preservatives that the gut does not know how to digest. And then when it doesn't know how to digest it, my understanding is it kicks it into fat. And so that goes into the body and gets stored there and again weakens us. You see it in the education system. They're teaching things that weaken children. At the fundamental level, they're saying to a child, let me try to invert you, right? You can, you may be a boy and you may think you're a girl. Let me invert you again, undermining us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially, right? All those ways, again, doing it in subtle ways to keep us suppressed. When you do your purpose and bring yourself online in that way, and share your gift, then the world becomes a better place. And let me give you an example. For me, my gift is talking and sharing and researching. And um, I almost equate it to going out and foraging for, if you're foraging for food, you're going to go out and forage for food, bring it home, prepare it, and serve it up in a way that's convenient and valuable to other people. So instead of that, I go out and forage for information, watching documentaries, watching videos, reading books, investigating, because I have an insatiable desire to investigate. What it was prior to 2020 was about enhancing the human experience. What ways, through consciousness, diet, productivity, lifestyle, what ways can you enhance the human experience? Everything pivoted for me and shifted for me in a perfect way. Well, it wasn't ideal, but it was perfect when 2020 happened and really 2021. And I realized, oh shit, the most pressing problems in the world and what is the biggest threat to humanity are those guys and gals. The biggest disruptor stealing, wealth from 99% and pushing it up to the 1%, taking power, push it up to the 1%. Eventually the tide will turn. I mean, that it could get so bad that the 99%, and many already are suffering. Many already are. The water level, let's say, of any of those things, financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, the water level is rising. It's getting more intense for people. And this is why I'm going to start with this comment series, because I think people are, well, I don't think it, I'm seeing it. People, and I'm seeing it in myself too, a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety. We need to release that on a continual basis. And again, this is my practice as well. But you'll see it in these comments, very rude. You wouldn't say this to a person on the street. At least I wouldn't, right? I prefer to operate under the adage that if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. That seems to work nice for me. Um, it seems fundamental manners, but some people don't have them. Like this comment says, yes, please replace you. We can do better without you. Wow. Nobody is coming to replace you, this person said. Okay, now this is a good one right here. This one says, how are you being replaced? I hear people repeating this from their favorite political commentators, but they don't explain how. And if that's the theory, then why isn't the Republican Party thinking of ways to bring those future voters instead of demonizing them? So this was a thoughtful comment, and I did write a reply for this to this comment that was pretty long, but I'll tell you what I told this person. I said that there we're being how we're being appear to be replaced is like by a bunch of people that are coming across that the government appear to be giving services to. Again, New York is taking services from, or lowering the threshold of services they give to citizens because they were losing money. I want to say it was like $5 billion. They were at a deficit, so they had to say, "Oh, sorry, folks, we got to take some of your tax dollars to take care of these folks." Which, in one sense, again, in a compassionate human being would say, "Oh, well, let's do that." But what about the problems we're already in? What about the debt we already have? We're already running red. We're already running hot. See, the government is like, I'm going to give everything to everyone instead of making sure that the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem, will be healthy for longevity. And again, we come back to the situation of everything rises and falls, these empires, these currencies, but it's not a prudent way to live. It's not a prudent way to manage anything. Like, I'm a human being. I manage my life and my finances. And when I don't have it, I don't invite other people to say, "Hey, come on over. I'm going to buy you a bunch of shit and we can all hang." No, I don't do that because I would go bust. But the government doesn't seem to care, even though it's like I said, it's already hurting many people. Look at the young kids that are doing TikTok videos talking about the fact that, yeah, I have a degree, I'm working full time, and I'm barely getting by, right? Because rent is so high, cost of living is so high that your first job, you have more expenses. These kids are barely getting by. They're having to get creative, which they are going to get creative. Um, but that's what I'm saying is they just don't. There's many subtle ways that this can manifest, and so when this girl says, why you feel you're being replaced, that's why it is. It appears that they're letting people in that are like, you know, unaware of the bullshit, or looking the other way saying, "Oh, well, you're going to give me something and all I have to do is kind of do what you want me to do, deal, because I came from such shitty situation in my own country that I'm going to go for it. I'll take that deal." And side note, it's my belief that because of the economic environment in the United States, that we have caused, not only that, but we've also gone into these other countries and we've caused their economy to struggle. Again, when you go in and strip mine wealth from a country, or help strip mine wealth and act in a corrupt way, you're stealing from those people. So no wonder their countries suck. Um, this person says being bald did make you insecure. Believe me, bud, no one wants to replace you. Okay, maybe that person doesn't see this person clapped. We joined forces. Yeah, that's a good comment. We might join forces with those people. I think that's the majority of them. Um, Again, you can check those out on. There's a few more there too, but you can check it out from March 13th of this year on my Instagram page at gmarkphillips. I'll do more of these coming down the line, but this is the one that I was like way backlogged, I had to get to. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.